We got 3 entries and a crossover movie in the Gingerdead Man franchise, so let's rank them. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm the Movie Ranker, and today I'm going to be ranking all 4 Gingerdead Man movies from worst to best. This is a full moon production, so you can just imagine the quality of these films. Not great. These, I wouldn't even consider B movies. They're almost C movies. They're that low on the scale, in my opinion. I'm not the biggest fan of these movies, but there is some fun to be had. So without wasting any more time, let's rank them. Coming in the last place at number 4, we got Gingerdead Man versus Evil Bong. Whew, this was a hard watch. Not a fan of the Evil Bong movies, for starters. And this one feels a lot more like an Evil Bong movie than a Gingerdead Man movie. The film just takes forever to get going. We get so many flashbacks and exposition to explain where the Gingerdead Man came from, where the Evil Bong came from, where it takes about 45 to 50 minutes into the movie before things even get going. To me, there's zero thrills, zero laughs. It's just not fun at all. And the Gingerdead Man always had cheesy lines, but this time the writing just feels super lazy. He has this like really deep like smoker's voice almost, which is kind of weird as well. I will say that this is the best looking film out of the 4 of them, production wise, but I mean, it's the newest entry, so that's probably why. And we do get a lot of titties, but titties do not save your movie. Coming up in 3rd place, we got the original The Gingerdead Man. Now this one has Gary Busey, and that's the biggest thing it has going for it. It's probably the only reason why I've heard of this movie before. I am a big fan of Gary Busey, but he barely gets any screen time, even as the cookie. Like, we get a scene at the start where he's human before he dies, and it's very short-lived. And then when we get him as the cookie, it feels like he's barely in the movie at all. But I do really like his makeup effects, like the look of him. Probably my favorite out of the entire franchise. It does help that the makeup effects were done by John Carl Buechler, who done big movies like A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. He's done Reanimator. He's done the effects for Friday the 13th Part 7 and directed it. And he does a ton of these full moon production movies, so he is definitely a standout. But the movie takes itself way too seriously. Like, whether you're talking about its story, it doesn't get real crazy. Even though it's about a Gingerdead Man, they should just go all in with it, like some of these sequels do. But they don't. They try to keep it, like, serious. And I feel like the actors are trying to be serious as well. Like, you're not going to win an Oscar for these roles, so just ham it up a little bit. And they try to get emotional and everything, and it just doesn't work. On top of that, the film is very slow and boring. Not a whole lot happens, and we stay in this basically in one location, so it feels like it just drags on, and the kills aren't very good as well. We get mostly off-screen kills or just little stabbings and stuff. Like, one dude gets pinned against a building with a car, but nothing too special. And yeah, it's not a very good film in my opinion. Up next at number 2, we got Gingerdead Man 3. Saturday Night Cleaver, aka Roller Boogeyman, has a few names. And I feel like this one is the most ambitious out of all these films, the most wacky, the most out there. I mean, the plot follows the Gingerdead Man being in prison. He breaks out, escapes, and ends up going through a time machine back to the year 1976 at a disco roller derby rink. It's like, who thought of this? The person who wrote this must have been on acid or something. But I loved all the horror references in here, whether we're talking about our intro in prison, where Gingerdead Man's done up like Hannibal Lecter with the thing over his face and that. I think that's hilarious. Also 28 Days Later with the animal activists coming in to break them all out. And of course, the main niece in this film, the girl, she's supposed to be like a Carrie with telepathic powers and stuff like that. That's all great. I think they should have dove more into that and had even more horror references. I think that would have been really cool. It just doesn't seem like there's enough of them. Like, they start off with them and then they kind of forget about that and move on to your regular Gingerdead film. And I also thought the finale was really hilarious in this one. how the kids travel in time to go get all like the worst killers and that in the world to bring them back to take out the Gingerdead Man at the end. Like we got Hitler and Jeffrey Dahmer and everything. It's pretty hilarious. And while I do appreciate when a film like this goes bonkers and gets really ambitious, it's a little too weird for me at times. Like the whole threesome with the janitor thing, that's just like, what the hell am I watching? Or like the glory hole with the cookie on the other side. It's like, these aren't funny. It's just weird and bizarre. Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of those aspects. And I mean, the kills are god awful. The ideas of them are great, like pouring like acid on someone and all this stuff, but the execution is terrible. They use CGI for everything, and not good CGI, like really cheap CGI. And I just wish they would have went practical, because we had some good ideas here, but yeah, it just didn't work for me. They all look terrible. The only one that looked kind of good was the meat cleaver to the ankles, because they stayed practical with that one. That one looked pretty gnarly, but everything else is just, it looks god awful. The nail gun kill, it's just like, this looks like cartoon blood and nails flying off the people. It's god awful. And they also make the Gingerdead Man digital when he's running, and it just, again, makes it look like a cartoon running across the screen. I would rather a puppet than you going all cartoon on us. And this is probably my least favorite version of the cookie. He looks weird. He's like stretched out a bit, and I'm just not the biggest fan of this version. But easily coming in the first place for me is Gingerdead Man 2, Passion of the Crust, aka Bakery of Blood. I don't know why these films have to have so many titles. But yeah, this one really stepped it up from the original. They were a bit more ambitious, not too much like part 3. But yeah, they did have fun with this entry. For starters, I love its meta humor. This film takes place at a studio where they make films, and it's kind of like poking fun at Full Moon Productions, because this studio only makes these really low budget horror movies and sci-fi films, like purposely shitty basically. But I like how the film tackles that how critics really hate these films and give them bad ratings, even though clearly they have a fan base. We get some really inventive, cool kills in here, like the hair iron in the guy's ass, or the two that's having sex in the bathroom getting stabbed through one, through the other, stuff like that. It looks great. It's cheesy, but it's bloody, and it's not covered in CGI. The Gingerdead Man doesn't look quite as good as he did in the original, but we still get John Carl Buechler in here doing effects, so I think that's why some of the kills in that were a lot better. And he has some of the best one-liners in the entire franchise. I just appreciate how the film really embraces its cheesiness, and everybody involved making it seemed to know exactly what type of movie they were making, unlike in the original. It's goofy, it's funny, and everybody in the film is either pissed off or horny. It's a fun time. I'm not exactly sure why the Gingerdead Man is at this location. That part doesn't really make sense, but does it really matter in these films? No, I say it doesn't. So this one easily comes in the first place for me. So there you have it, guys. There's my ranking of all 4 Gingerdead Man movies. Let me know what you think of these films down below. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? This is not my franchise, but I'm glad I did go through it at least once. I'll probably be revisiting 2, maybe 3 in the future, but the other ones might never watch again, if I'm being honest. And guys, check out the description of this video to get links to my Instagram and Letterboxd. You guys can follow me on those. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching.